everyone, welcome to Tutorials by Dacade. My name is Dacade, and in this video we are going to introduce treasure chests. With that being said, before I get into it, if you've liked any of my previous videos, make sure you give this one a big old thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, as I have videos like this coming out all the time, and I don't want you to miss anything. Plus, it does help me out, so I can't argue that. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So first, we're going to delete these coins that we have just hanging out here. And what we're going to do is we are going to go to our art folder. We are going to go to world. We are going to go to objects. First, let's make sure all this is correct over here, and it is. And then we are going to just find a spot for our treasure chest somewhere close by. We'll just put it right there. You know me, I like to be exact, so negative 5.5 and negative 3 works good for me. And as you can see, it's behind everything, so we're going to put it on the player layer, and we're also going to set the order and layer to -1. So there's a few things that we're going to need to do with our treasure chest. First, we're going to name this, we'll name this small chest, and then we need to add a box collider 2D. And we'll zoom in here, and we're going to edit that box collider to be just as big as the chest. That way the player can't walk into it, neither can any enemies or anything like that. So there's that. We're going to add another box collider 2D. We're going to make it a trigger, and I'd like it so that way the player has to be either on front of it or on the sides of it. So something like this will work out pretty good. All right, now that we got those two box colliders, we are going to need an animator. And we'll get to animating here in a second. We will need an audio source. I do have an audio for this. I included it in the files of all the other stuff. I just added that right before I started making this video. So you may need to go in and download that where you got all the other assets. Link is still in the description. If not, you can use literally any sound you want. You don't have to use the sounds I'm using. Many of the sounds are free. You can get those just about anywhere. Anyway, that should be all we need to do as far as adding stuff in the inspector. Now we are going to animate. So make sure we have our small chest selected. Go to animate. And we're going to create. Let's make sure that we get our animations in the right folder. We'll make a new folder here, call that chests. There are two different size chests. There's small and large in the assets that I gave you. So if you're going to use both of them, make sure you somehow name this so that way you can distinguish between the two. But what I'm showing you will work on either the small or large chest, just so you know that. But we're going to do SM for small. Then we're going to do chest, and then closed. And then all we need to do for that is just drag in the closed chest. And that's it. Then we're going to create a new clip. We're going to call it small chest open. And for this, we are going to do these every 2 frames. Again, you can do this however you want to do this. We've already covered animation before, so this should be somewhat familiar to you all. If not, make sure you go back and check out those videos. We'll just give this a quick play. All right, that works. And then we need to make one more new clip, and then small chest opened, and then add the opened. Now that those are done, we're going to go up to the animator, and you're going to see that it kind of already does what we want it to do. We just want to get these in order here. So from entry, it should go right to small chest closed. We need to make a transition from that to small chest open, and then a transition from that to opened. Over here, we need to add a bowl and call it is opened. And then we also need to add a trigger and just name that open. So in the transition from closed to open, we are going to add a condition and call that open. And then in this one right here where it says between open and opened, we are going to add, that's already done it, is opened and true. Now that all of that is done, what we need to do, and this is just me being picky, I'm moving this to the proper room so I know where it's at. And then move that to objects. And there we go. We are eventually going to make this into a prefab, but not now because we need to add the script to it first. And speaking of the scripts, if we go to scripts, objects, interactable, and right click, we can create our script. So mono behavior script, and we'll just name it chest. And it should open up and take you right into here, but it did not give me the chest script, so we're going to have to go back to Unity, and we are going to have to open that up. And there we go. All right. So for the chest, right now I am going to get it set up so that way it can have other things in it, but since we really only have coins right now, we are just going to do coins. So first things first, we want to do a header. And then coin settings. Then we want to have a tooltip. Should it be a random amount? And then serialized field, private bool, use random coins, and we're going to default that to true. Then we're going to do a tooltip minimum amount if random. We're going to serialize that field, and we're going to do a private int min coins, and we're going to default that to 5. Then we'll do another tooltip maximum amount if random. We're going to serialize that field, and another private int max coins, and we're going to default that to 25, not F. There we go. And just because it's driving me crazy, we'll capitalize that. There we go. Ignore my phone. All right, and then we need one more tooltip, and then amount of coins if fixed amount. And then we'll serialize that. Private int fixed coin amount, and we'll default that to 10. Again, you'll be able to change these in the inspector, or you can change them now, however you want to do it. That's completely up to you, but you want to make sure you have these. Whenever we go to add other things to this, all we have to do is just add like a bool as like, is this coins, is this that. That way we'll be able to get a loot table in here and all that other stuff. But for right now, we're just doing coins. So follow along, and I promise once we get to a little bit more advanced stuff, we can go back in and change this. Now we need to do a couple things in here. Do a header, chest state, do a tooltip. Is the player in range? And this should be familiar because we've done this with the NPCs. Serialized field, private bool is up. I jumped ahead on my notes there. Player in range. Now we need to do another tooltip. Is the chest opened? Serialize that field. Private bool is opened equals false. All right, and we'll default that to false. We'll also default this to false. Now the catch to doing this is make sure that the player's not in range whenever it starts. Which, if you're doing everything correctly and you're following normal game design routines, the player should not be in range of anything whenever the game starts. All right, now we need to do a tooltip reference to the animator, which we can do this in code, but it's nice to have it here just in case. Serialize field, private, animator, chest animator. And lastly, tooltip, audio source for sound. Serialize that field. And then private audio source. Open sound. Now, the reason why I'm using an audio source instead of an audio clip is because with audio source, you have a little bit of adjustment for the audio. So, like, at some point, we're going to add sounds for when the player gets hurt. And instead of just a sound of the player getting hurt, we can randomize the pitch so that way it's not the same sound every single time. So that adds a little bit of uniqueness to the game. So that is why we're using audio source, because I have been asked why not use audio clip before. All right, so a couple things we need to do now. We need to go to private void start, and we need to go chest animator equals get component animator, and that should get that automatically for us. And then open sounds equals get component audio source, which that should automatically get for us. All right. Now for the magic. We need a private void on trigger enter 2D. And we need that to be other. And then we need if other dot compare tag player. Then we need to debug.log player near the chest, and then player in range equals true. I forgot to do this up here, but we also need a private void update. And in here, we're just going to put if input.get button down interact. Then we are going to open chest. And that's going to give you an error because we haven't done that yet, but we will get to that. Now we need a private void on trigger exit 2D. Again, change this to other. And then we need to do if other dot compare tag is player. Then we just need to do debug.log player left the chest, and then player in range equals false. And then we just need to create the open chest. So private void open chest. In here, we need to do if not is opened and player in range. We're going to check to see if the chest animator is not null. And if it's not, then we're going to do chest animator dot set trigger to open. Else if chest animator is null, meaning it's not there, then we're just going to throw a debug.log error and say missing animator for chest. That means the code, for whatever reason, did not work. We're going to do the exact same thing for the open sound. So if open sound is not null, meaning there is one, then we are going to open sound.play. Else, if open sound equals null. There we go. So if it's not there, we're just going to do another debug log. Man, I cannot type today. Log error, missing chest, open sound. Oh. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. So now that that's all done, we're going to come down here and we're going to do a temporary variable, call it int coins to add, and we're going to equal use random coins question mark random dot range min coins max coins +1. Ignore my phone. No one bothers me all day until I start recording. And then we're going to do a semicolon and then fixed coin amount. So what this is doing is if we are using random coins, then it's going to find the random range between minimum coins and maximum coins. And I'm adding that +1 just so that way it's 26 instead of 25. You don't have to do the +1 if you don't want to. Or you're doing the fixed coin amount depending on whether or not we're using random coins. So essentially, that's what this little statement is. So instead of typing out a whole bunch of stuff, you can use these little shortcuts here. So use random coin. It's going to check to see if it's true or false. If it's true, it's going to do this. If it's false, it's going to do this. Then we're going to do inventory manager. Dot instance dot add coins dot coins to add. We're going to change is nope, not is active and enabled, is opened to true, and then we're going to debug dot log, and then chest opened, player received coins to add coins. Then we need to do down here we don't that's why things looked weird. All these need to be under that. So let's go in and hit tab, change all that. There we go. So now we can come down here and do that. And then enter else if is opened and player in range. Then all we're going to do here is debug.log chest already opened, and then just return. All right, so what we're doing here, in the update method, we are checking to see if the player is hitting the interact button. If the player is hitting the interact button, we're going to go to open chest. So open chest down here is going to check if the chest has already been opened and if the player is in range. In order to determine if player is in range, we're using on trigger enter and on trigger exit. If the player is in range, we're going to check to see if there's an animator, and if so, we are going to animate it. And then we are going to check if there's audio, and if so, we are going to play the sound. Then we are going to get the coins to add. If it's a fixed amount, it'll be a fixed amount. If it's a random range, it'll be between whatever you put for your minimum and your maximum, +1 if you added that +1. Then it's going to add whatever number it comes up with to the player's inventory. Then it's going to change is open to true. It's going to throw a little debug log saying that the player opened the chest, and that's it. If the chest is already opened, however, it's just going to throw a little debug log saying that the chest was already open, and that's all it's going to do. So now that that is all said and done, what we're going to do, we're going to go back into Unity. Oh, did we save that? Sure we did. Got to double check. Yeah, we saved it. All right. So back in Unity, there's 2 more things that we need to do. We need to go on to our small chest. We need to add the chest script. We don't need to get the animator or the open source. If you want to, you can. You would just have to drag small chest to each one of these. But in the audio source, what we need to do is we need to add the sound, which I did not add to my game yet. So all we got to do is just go to audio, sound effects, and we'll just add in that sound. There we go. And then with the audio source right there, we just drag that to right there. We don't need to play on awake. But this is what I mean, like you have all these different things, like you change pitch, volume, and all that stuff. You can actually change these with code and randomize them so it plays a different sound every time something happens. Now that those are out of the way, we got to go into animation here because we do need to do this. If we go to small chest open, where it says loop time, we are not going to do that. And then this last part is just making the chest a prefab. So just drag that to there, and there we go. Now, if we did everything right, we should be able to hit play. Wait for Unity to do its thing, and come down here. Can't walk through the chest, can't move the chest, can't do anything. If we hit interact, which we set up before as E, ding, it makes the chest sound. You see our coins went to 9. Down here it says chest open, player received 9 coins. We can go to our console and check that. Now, if we stay within range and we keep hitting E, you can see every time I hit E, it goes up 1. Chest is already open and it won't do anything else. You're bugging me, buddy. Go away. Now, just to make sure that it is randomizing, we got 9 coins this time. So let's stop. We'll hit play one more time. Ding. Open it one more time, and this time we got 18 coins. And just to make sure that we're not doing intervals of 9, one last time. 17. So as you can see, you're getting random coins every single time you open that chest. And if you want, you can switch that to fixed by just simply going to your chest, going to the chest script, and unchecking that. So now that it's unchecked, we can play, I believe we set it for 10. So now every time we open that chest, we get 10 coins. So that's it for this video. We will expand on chests a little bit later once we get deeper into an inventory system and actually get some items to put in the inventory system. But for now, I'm going to end this video here. If you liked it, make sure you give it the big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, as I have videos like this coming out all the time, and I don't want you to miss anything. and it does help me out, and I do appreciate it. So please subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, thank you. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.